guys, welcome back and thanks for tuning in. You're listening to the Colored In podcast. I am your host, Nai. That's NAI because I'm neat and interesting. So, we're going to be talking about relationships today. That's going to be our second pillar or theme. And for those who may be new to the series or not familiar with our themes, let me be the first to welcome you to the crew. CREW, CREW, is an acronym for the four themes this podcast is going to focus on. It stands for careers and cultures, relationships, education, and wellness. If you want to know a little bit more about the start of this podcast and the meaning behind those themes, be sure to check us out on season 1. And don't forget to connect with us on Instagram, like our post, share our episodes, and DM us your feedback at _colored_in. So if you have not realized by now or through my episodes on season 1, all my relationships episodes, I refuse to talk about the topic alone. Why? Because talking about relationships is scary. So I want to make sure that I can include more voices and perspectives to shed light on whatever topic I'm focusing in on. Also, I don't know if it's me, but it seems like relationships, or at least dating right now in our current state of the world, has been particularly difficult. In fact, I read some research from Pew, which is like a research center in Washington, D.C., and they published results that were a little bit shocking, not too shocking, but a little bit. And the results were that 15% of American adults who are single and looking for a committed relationship or casual dates say that they're dissatisfied with their dating lives and that it has been difficult to find people to date, according to a survey that they conducted in October 2019. Additionally, in that same survey, they asked those who were single and looking for a relationship or for dates how they would let someone know they didn't want to go out with them again after a first date. About 8% of them said that they would ghost someone, cut off communication completely. 52%, about half, said that they wouldn't take the initiative to reach out, but they would let the other person know if the other person got in touch. And the remaining share, which is about 40%, said that they would contact the other person to let them know. Single men were evenly split on whether or not they would be proactive about reaching out to the other person to let them know if they would want to go out again after the first date. Whereas 60% of women noted that they would only respond if the other person got in touch, whereas 30% said that they would proactively reach out and let the person know. And then overall, the survey, I guess the point of it about what it led to is that single people, they don't feel pressure from society to like find a partner. And I can relate to that. Like, I think the priorities in terms of having a relationship, having a marriage, being in a committed relationships, I think it's still romantic and it's definitely a want, but it's not so much a need. And I don't feel the pressure for it to be a need. Like, I don't feel like my priorities are wrong because I'm not actively looking to be in a committed relationship or a relationship in general. But with that being said, of course, I am a romanticist at heart. So I would love to have the whole 9 yards, the long relationship, the husband is my best friend, the beautiful wedding, the long or kind of mid-length engagement, marriage, husband, kids, all that great stuff. So I mean, I don't fault anyone for wanting it or not wanting it. Do I feel like I'm on a timeline to get it? No. And I know that definitely wasn't the sentiment 30, 40, 50 years ago. That is to say, yeah, relationships, they're just kind of weird. And they're even weirder now with how the world is progressing, especially within this pandemic, for Americans, especially within this election season. It's kind of like, yeah, a relationship is not top of mind right now. So someone who's not incredibly well versed within the topic, it just feels only right for me to be able to bring on some special people to help me tackle it. So what are we actually focusing on today? I just threw up a lot of information at you guys, and it was related, but definitely kind of went a little bit on a tangent. So let me rein it back and let me bring it back for you guys. So what are we focusing on? For me to get into that, I want to give you guys this quote that actually really just, it made me like raise my eyebrows and like squint in confusion. Like I had to stop and be like, huh? what is this? And what killed me was it got so many likes. Like it was probably close to, it was like something like 600,000 or 700,000 likes. And I was just like, dang. Granted, in the scheme of the population, that's like a very small micro percentage. But for Instagram, I don't know, that feels like enough for me. Like 700,000 people agreed with this. But essentially, what the quote said was, men who don't understand women fall into two categories: bachelors and husbands. So I had to stop and think, like, what? That's kind of like everyone in the relationship scheme. That this definitely relates to like the heterosexual narrative, which I can relate to as I identify as a heterosexual woman. So when I saw that quote, I was just like, are women really that difficult to understand? Like, am I that confusing? I don't think I am. In fact, I think I'm probably much more simpler than people perceive me to be. And in my head, I was just like, first off, why do so many people like this? It was like not that profound. And secondly, it just kind of sparked my curiosity and got me wondering, like, what is it really? Like, are women really that complex? Are we that convoluted? Or that no one of the opposite gender can figure us out? Or is there just a lack of knowledge of the woman and the woman experience? Or a gap in how that woman and that feminine experience is being communicated out to society, out to the opposite gender, out to ourselves? So it got me thinking. One, because I was just like, this is not that great. And I also don't, I'm not buying into it. I don't think that everyone of the opposite genders cannot understand us. But two, it just got me thinking, like, maybe there is maybe a knowledge gap in about women and about the woman experience that is contributing to this kind of age old adage that women are confusing and can never be understood. So it got me thinking into creating this series called The Feminine Mystique. And I know it's a ripoff off of Betty Friedman's essay, but it was actually one of my favorite essays that I ever read. And I actually read in high school, and I read it again in college, and it was one of the most profound essays I ever read. I still like to pick it up every now and then through this day, so I wanted it to inspire it, or to inspire this web series that I'm going to be continuing on my podcast. Yes, so this is going to be The Feminine Mystique, which is a panel consisting of women who will answer society's most burning questions. So I sent a survey out to my network asking them what are some of the questions that they've always wanted to ask a woman, but felt like they couldn't, or felt like they never had the opportunity to. And so that's what we're going to actually get into today. So I have a panel of very intelligent women joining me, and we're going to be tackling some of the questions that you guys sent in. Now, before we get into that, going forward, you're going to hear me put out this disclaimer about how my episodes are being recorded, just to account for any technological glitches or shuffling that you might hear in the background as a result of conducting these interviews virtually and via Zoom. So, with that being said, here it is. This interview was conducted via Zoom because we are still in a pandemic. I am preserving the safety of myself and my guests by social distancing and producing these episodes virtually. Ting! I feel like I need to put like a sound effect after that or something. I don't know. We'll see. So now that that's out of the way, let's hop onto the Zoom and introduce our guests. So, crew, today we have joining us Mackenzie and Lucy. Say hi to the crew, guys.
Hey guys. Hey guys.
So, Lucy is a 23-year-old Irish American girl born and bred from the Bronx. She recently earned her master's in social work at Fordham University, go Rams, and is pursuing a career in animal assisted therapy. She's been spending 2020 studying to get her social work license using her new driver's license to explore the nature trails throughout the city and the surrounding area. She also is spending quality time with her new Shih Tzu, Honey Bun. Mac, on the other hand, or Mackenzie, but I call her Mac, is a multidisciplinary artist who has been focusing her energy and chi on social issues that she finds important. An avid dog lover, healthy lifestyle enthusiast, and legal marijuana advocate, She's been spending her time during quarantine honing in on her skills and fine-tuning her advocacy projects while continuing her volunteer work at her local animal shelter. I felt like I just read dating profiles, which is fitting for the topic and the theme of the episode. But I want to thank you guys again for joining us and joining the crew to talk with us today.
Thank you for having us.
I would do this again anytime.
Oh my God, they love me already, guys. Did you hear that? So you guys know you're here because you're joining me on this panel, answering society's most burning questions. And by that, I mean like questions that people really want women to answer, or that they just want like a general answer to. So I got these questions from guys, girls, different sexualities. It ranged from homosexual to heterosexual. So we kind of have the gamut here. There's going to be some that's more heterosexual, and then us more that's some questions that are more general. So with that being said, we're going to jump right into it. All right, so Mac, I'm going to kick it off with you because you have been through the process of like dating, and then that eventually led to a relationship, which congratulations on that. I know you hit your 1 year recently. So yeah, kudos and snaps to that. So first question is, what is the first thing you notice about your partner?
Well, very frankly, obviously looks matter. Do enjoy a tall boy. Can't be mad at it, you know, like tall, moderately attractive, but that is only at best surface level. I more so go off how I vibe with the person. So if I am feeling the conversation, like the conversation is easy, we're just having a fun time, you know. My first date, like meeting up with my current boyfriend, like we got bacon, egg, and cheese sandwiches and went to a park and sat on swings and talked for like 4 hours. Things like that where you can just like be yourself as much as you can be first time meeting a person, but you know, just like getting an initial vibe of like, am I allowed to curse?
Yes,
If you can
yes, you are.
Thank God. All right. So if you can like fucks with them, then like, yeah, like that's more so how I go off of even just friendships, you know, but definitely for like a significant other.
Yeah, no, I am 100% on board with all of that. I think the very, very first thing I realize is height as well. I feel like I'm just shorter than the average, but I'm not like what would qualify as like midget short or everything. It's just like I've been short. I'm usually the shortest person in my group, in the room, in like it really doesn't matter. So height is always kind of just that one thing that's a factor for me. Granted, I actually do not like super tall men. Like my cap is 6 feet, but we're not going to go into that. That's a question for later. I like so and one of the reasons why is because like I'm thinking like how like are you too tall? Like should I be worried? So height usually is a thing for me. And then of course a lot of the more qualitative factors that you pointed at, Mac, is like a very close follow. How about you, Lou?
I definitely agree. I think it's also funny too how out of us, one of us being 5'5", 5'6", around, I'm assuming that's around your height, and Mac and I both being 5'10", just how like height really does matter at whatever height you personally are. Like it might not be a big deal. I feel like the people that I've like dated and talked to typically are my height, and they've been shorter too. So that's not the determinant. It's cool if it's there, but it's not a big deal. I think the first thing I've I've noticed is the way that we like kind of communicate with each other. And when you get that mixed in with hearing and seeing how their personality is, it really kind of puts it together. Because for me, you have to be funny, and that it's not always for everyone that it shows up right away. Also, is like first meeting someone, they can try too hard, and that's a turn off. I know I tried too hard, so for whoever's stuck with me through it, you're a trooper. But I want to know someone is funny, know I'm gonna get a laugh off them, and I want them to think I'm funny. Like it kind of, and you hear it when you're talking to someone in the conversation, like you remember how they made you feel when you leave the date. Because like I've had dates where I've learned a lot about someone, but I've just been like kind of bored too. Personality, funniness, flow, those really stick out for me.
This it's so funny that you mentioned like what people feel, because it made me think of the quote about that Maya Angelou said, where it's just like, you'll learn that people will forget what you said, they'll forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And I think that's probably one of the most important things in terms of vibing on that first date. So all right, that question done out of the way. um, Second question, which is, I guess I would say, is more on the heterosexual scale, but I think it can be generalized to, the other different sexualities that we know of. And the question is, what is your preference for younger or older men? So this person specifically referenced men. I'll change the word to partners, but do you have a preference for dating someone younger than you or older than you, and why? Kick it to Mac to give us that first question.
Okay, sweet. Personally speaking, I enjoy, I guess, dating and that sort of thing with older partners. Definitely, because I personally I just find them more mature. I always find if you speak to someone younger or even same age, depending on like how old like their soul is, how some people have an old soul, like it really just depends on their maturity level. So if they're my age or like maybe slightly younger, but like they're like I guess at the same maturity level like as myself, like that's fine. Like I'm cool with that. But I've found in the past anyway that usually people at my age, only 23, or like younger, they're kind of just like fuck around, like not really take things seriously. Like even if things don't really call for being serious, but there's some cases where there needs something to be serious, but they don't do it, and just like I'm definitely more of an older person kind of vibe.
All right, Lou, how do you feel? Are you going higher or lower in terms of age?
From my past experience, I think I've definitely gone older. I think it reflects a lot on me more than the other person because I kind of seek out older men. I also do identify as bi, and I've noticed that like in talking to girls, I have a lot less experience, so I have a lot less to say on it, but I feel like it hasn't mattered as much in terms of who they are, but in terms of who I am, it's something I look for more. And I think it's also because like I have a sister that's older than me that we went to the same high school, college, middle school, elementary school. So I've always been cool with her friends. I've always kind of like been able to, I guess, keep up for lack of a better word. So that's always been kind of like, I wouldn't call it a thrill per se, but I'm kind of more used to it. And when I was younger, it made me feel cool. But in talking to mostly men now, it does kind of seem like girls mature faster and earlier. Being 23 now, talking to a 23-year-old dude isn't that big of a deal. Like we're in the same place in a lot of ways. But when I was younger, like 17 to 20, even up to last year being 22, I was like, this is not stimulating. I want to talk to someone older. It's more exciting. It's more fun. They know things. I feel like more giddy about it instead of like, look at this dumbass with this shitty perspective. Like, I don't need that. So, I mean, it really is like, I shouldn't have to think about it. If I'm like thinking too much, like if you're 45, I'm going to be thinking about it. But if you're 25 to 30, for me now, it's like, I don't really care. Maybe 30 is pushing it, but I don't really care.
I love that. So you guys both mentioned two things that I always like take into factor. So I'm a big person on age. I'm like no one older than 4 years than my age. and definitely no one younger. Like, I don't even want to think about it. And I think what it is, like you guys mentioned, is that there's like a maturity level, and it's like you kind of want to, well, at least we've been taught to like want to be in a relationship, or at least stigmatized. I'm going to say taught. I don't want to say it's a stigma, but we've been taught and almost conditioned to be in a relationship to grow and be better. Right. And it's like, how am I supposed to do that with someone who's at the same level as me? How am I supposed to achieve that with someone who's like at a lower maturity than me? Like, I kind of need somebody a little bit older to help me groom and blossom with him or her, or they. And it's interesting because it's like that maturity thing plays a thing, but then you got to think about it on the person who's dating you, who's a younger person. It's like, what are they doing it for? Are they doing it for some type of father mother complex? Are they doing it because they want to be able to share that knowledge and that experience with you? Like, what are they getting out of it from the age factor? Granted, I don't think age should play that much of a importance in like relationship and like wanting to connect with somebody, but for some people they take it very, very seriously. I think the second thing you mentioned, Lou, was the thrill. And I was like, that's really what always attracted me to older guys. It's just like younger guys like me, guys my age like me, and older guys like me, and I'm a triple threat. Bad. Like, you just kind of get excited about it, knowing that you can kind of keep up, right? But at the same time, and it's almost like a ego thing, like you're kind of feeding into your own ego. So it's interesting that you guys mentioned that. I'm totally on board with you all. I do have a cap though. I don't know if, I know Lucy mentioned a cap. Mac, do you have a cap on age?
Um, yes and no. If they're like old as hell, like gray hair, I guess it's my cap. Gray hair is my cap. But granted, younger people have gray hair. So I'd say like, I guess like twice my age is my cap.
That's a
That's
lot.
creepy.
It's
It's creepy. It's absolutely creepy.
No, we don't judge. We do not judge here.
You're right. I redact my creepiness statement.
No, okay, yeah. So I think we were gonna close the loop on that one, but yeah, no, I think definitely the maturity plays into it, the thrill plays into it, and I guess it kind of contributes to wanting to be in a union that can help you be better, right? That's what we're taught. I mean, that's what they told us. No one said otherwise. So we're gonna switch gears a little bit here, and I'm gonna start it off with Lou because you've been going second for most of these. So I'm gonna paint a picture for you here. So you meet a guy, he's sweet, handsome, respectable, has his head on his shoulders, has a trajectory on like where he wants to go with his life, knows how to communicate, knows how to be transparent, and he set his intentions with you. You guys are on the same page. He's financially stable. So, you know, you guys have been going on dates. And you find out while you guys are, you know, getting like nasty with each other, like having, you know, foreplay, whatever you want to call it, that he is not well endowed. Whatever, kick it to the curb. Maybe he knows how to work it. You follow through. You guys have sex that night, and by the end of it, you're not satisfied. You're just you didn't get there, you didn't peak, whatever the case is. But like, it was on the scale of rating probably a 5 if you had to rate it, right?
Mhm.
Are you still staying with that person? Or to put it shortly, does size matter?
Whew, whew, whew. That's a loaded question. That's definitely loaded. I think just in that this kind of like rhetorical scenario, I would hope that by the time we got to date 7, so to say, and that's also, we really waited for it. We really took our time with it, which I respect of me. That I think at that time, in my experience personally, we would have had conversations about it. If we both know that we're feeling it and we had gone on 6 previous dates, we know that it's a coming. But I think I would see him again. just because I've been disappointed before plenty of times by people that were way worse than this guy sounds. So I'm known for giving second chances. I love getting to know someone to the point that I'm like romantically involved with them. And I also, I'm pretty young in my romantic life. There's a lot I haven't seen or done. There's a lot of the world I still want to know. So in this scenario, it would be a conversation the next day. Like, I want to be with someone that I can honestly say, like, that didn't do it for me. How can we do it better? There are just so many things in the world that we could bring into the room that we can make work for us. If I think your face is cute, if I think your body's generally like top notch for me, it's not over there. Like, it's not something like I would never call them back or text them, unless like even in that scenario they just didn't give a fuck about it and they were just like, oh well, I got off, like you can find your way home from here. Like, in that kind of reality, no, it's not. But it would definitely be different. It'd be different. But I have high hopes.
I mean, he's good at everything else, right? So it's like we could definitely make it work.
For that to not be there, but for you to have the things God gave you, 10 fingers, a tongue, uh, the world of things. You have money to buy a new one. We're there. We could get there.
I love it. I love it. Oh my God, you're going to make me crack up. You're going to make me do the ugly laugh on this episode. No, I agree. I absolutely agree with you. But before we get into that, Mac, I want to hear what you have to say.
First of all, I'm deceased. That was funny as hell. Yes. But honestly, I agree with Lou. Like,
If there's so much to work with elsewhere, like, granted, that's a whole ass discussion. It's got, whether it's in the moment or happens after, it's definitely got to be spoken about, and be like, listen, boo boo, not it. That ain't it. But we're gonna get through this together because I enjoy hanging out with you. Second chances are always a thing. It's when it's strike 3 and they're just not doing it. It's like, all right, well, like, we can either discuss this and things can change, or we're just gonna keep pushing and go elsewhere, But definitely on the same page as Lou, because you got to give second chances. Maybe they're nervous, maybe they're nervous. Who knows? Maybe they had an off day at work. We don't know.
I said, I agree. I think a lot can play into that first time, but you guys touched on so many things that I want to like bring back. One, Lou, you made a kind of distinction between like being with someone romantically versus being with them sexually, and how like while they intermingle, like you can have one without the other, and that can be sustainable to a relationship. Whether or not you want it to be, that's like a person to person, case by case decision. But there is a difference between being with someone romantically and being with someone sexually. And I think a lot of the times romance should probably drive the reason why you stay in a relationship as opposed to the sexual piece. And then on top of that, Mac, you mentioned being able to give someone that second chance when they like kind of fumble. And it's like, I never understood, and I want you guys to weigh in here. I never understood why there's this like weird narrative going around that like you need like a big penis in order to have great sex. Like, I don't get why that's a thing, because more often than not, like that's usually not what gets a woman to her peak or to her orgasm. So I don't know how you guys feel about that. Do you feel like it's necessary to be well endowed, or like you said, is it very much so that more often than not, you just have to always get creative and be willing to work and flex different muscles?
I think that I don't want to like talk about statistics because I don't know them, but what people talk about the like ideal size being, and then what like the world's average is, Like, they're so different. They're not near the same. And there are how many hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people right now having sex. Like, the numbers don't add up. So it's kind of like you got to play with the hand you're given, literally. And for you to kind of get the vibe of the person that you're going at it with, like, that's what makes me, like, in my own personal quarantine home here, that's what makes me tingle. Like, not the actual, like, thinking, oh, that huge dick was inside me. It's not that. It's more like this person that I talked to, and like the way we were together, that's what reminds me of a good time. Like, yeah, it really is just like the myth of like having to have a huge penis. It kind of is comparable to like people talking about like how wet a vagina gets. Like, it's not the same thing. Like, you can't just make, sweeping statements, because there are other people that are going to be like, well, I'm fine. My husband, my partner, we're fine. We're not worried about it.
Obviously, like Lou said, I don't know statistics or anything, but the statement itself of just like size matter feels kind of like this like egotistical, like man driven mindset, kind of like a pissing contest, it's just like, oh, mine's bigger, that means I'm the more superior man. But not necessarily, it's like, yeah, you may have like whatever people like, like 8 inch, you could have 8 inches, good on you. First of all, do you know how to use it? That's my biggest overarching question. Can you use it properly so that not only you can finish, but your partner can finish? Because if you're not in this for both of y'all, then what's the point? Because you just want to finish. Like, what about your partner? Like, don't they matter? Like, just because you have a big dick doesn't mean you can do anything with it.
Amen. 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 You guys literally took the words right out my mouth. So like, I guess the consensus is the size doesn't matter. And Mac, like you said, I think this is a guy thing. I think this is a lie, a bullshit lie that men made up and told each other, and they were like, a woman said it. And it was just like, no, I don't think we all think. And I'm granted, there are probably some people who are like, no, size matters and so on and so forth. But I don't think the general consensus is that you need to have like a big dick. Like, I don't see that. I don't see that being like something that we all agree on. Because when we like started getting into our own, and this is going to be more personal to me, a little bit TMI, but when you start getting into your own sexual exploration, and you like, when you're young and you hit that age and you're starting to see yourself getting wet, and you're like, ooh, what is that? What's happening? Or like, you get into the shower and the shower head hits your clitoris, and you're just like, whoa, what was that? And so you start, and it's like, you get yourself there, right? You didn't do that with a penis. You didn't do that with a dick. You did that, I don't even know how, I don't want to know how y'all did that, but you did that by being creative, by using other means. So it's like, why would we, starting off on our own sexual journey, place so much emphasis on size when that's not even something that we needed in the first place to get us to where we needed to go? So it's like, this is a conspiracy theory, guys, but I swear to God, women did not say that size matters. I know that there are some people out there who believe it, but I think it was a rumor that was spread by men and just put the blame on women.
I was just gonna say, like, I know I need to keep myself muted for obvious reasons, but I hope whoever's listening knows that we're dying.
Yeah.
So good. All right, back to me.
We are vibing here, guys. I hope you guys can feel it. Okay, so now that question is out the way, at least for this trio, size does not matter. Okay, boom, pow, we've answered that question. For this next question, I'm gonna make it more general, although it was kind of phrased in a heterosexual way. I want to make it more general. So the question is your partner making less than you an issue? Why or why not? Now, granted, I don't think we are at the height of our careers, so I don't want to keep it at like where we are right now, although please feel free to answer from that perspective. But I'm thinking like you're in your career, you're probably been there for like 3-4 years now, you're definitely making the salary that you want. Do you need your partner to be at the same income level like 10 years from now? Let's say everything's going great. 10 years from now, you're still succeeding each and every year, climbing up that ladder. Do you need your partner to be making at least the same amount as you or more? And if they are not, how are you seeing that affecting the relationship in any way? And I will kick it over to Mac.
Being as someone who has been in a relationship where my partner just did not, he was unemployed, you know, like in my undergraduate college, you know, time frame, like I was working part-time, like 3 part-time jobs, you know, just trying, like doing my thing and trying to make means for myself, and having like to deal with someone who made absolutely nothing, was on unemployment, was constantly down on himself, you know, just like not blaming you for not blaming you for the problems, but the type of person that blamed the world for their problems. It kind of taught me to not care necessarily about finances, because if you find the right person, they will take care of themselves. I think it really just comes down to like, can even like basically finances doesn't matter to me, to answer the question, you know, because if they can handle themselves, if they can take, like, they don't necessarily need to make like triple or 6 figures to, you know, like be able to sustain themselves and like do what they want to do. So like that's on that, like that's on them, like that doesn't matter to me. Like I'm my own woman, like if I need a certain amount of money, like I will do what it takes to get it. But it would be nice to see if my, like whomever I have in 10 years has that same drive to like be the best self that they can be. So to answer your question, finances doesn't really bother me, but like the motivation to just be your best self is kind of where I'm at.
All right, Lou, where are you on this scale?
It's funny that Mac mentions that, because when you posed the question, I thought about how like the last real relationship I've been in, the person I was in a relationship was unemployed for most of the relationship. And like that shit didn't really bother me, but I mean, it was kind of a short-lived relationship as was, but I don't know. I think it really is like the place and time that you're at and how it affects how you see the person that you're talking to. Um, because like I'm a broke bitch. Like I'm used to being broke. I'm used to having dates. Like I've generally preferred dates to be like get a slice of pizza, eat it like standing up, and then walk around for a while. And I feel like I've always kind of advocated for like, I don't want to go somewhere fancy if it's not for either of us. Like you don't need to impress me. That's not really what's going to do it for me. Like I mean, I'm very blessed and privileged to have grown up with 2 parents that have always been able to provide, but like my mom's a social worker, my dad's a teacher. Like we've been fine, but like it's never been like an overflow of money. I've never been like expecting a lot on Christmas per se. So I just, in terms of like being showered with like gifts or anything, I've never really expected that or wanted that, because I don't really want to do it back. Like I want to make a very thoughtful gift from Five Below. Like that's the way like that's been my mode of operation. So like, and that's also me saying that as a 23-year-old working part-time at the moment. So like I think it would be a different answer in 5 years, because like I might be wanting to start a family. I might hopefully be further in my career and be like making real money, and I wouldn't want my first child to be my partner. You know, like I'm not really trying to support anyone financially. Like I would if I'm that deep in, but it definitely, you know, you gotta take it as it is and see where you are in the relationship, if it's worth it. And so basically to circle back, it I can't really be bothered by it. If it's hitting off, we're fine.
Okay. Y'all might hate me for this. I don't know if I'm okay with my partner making less than. It's not to say that I don't want them to not make. Damn, how do I say this? Not coming off like. Okay, here's speak about your. Here's my thing. It's not that you can't make less than me. I just don't necessarily know if I have what it takes to play caretaker, right? So it's like, you can make less than me, that's fine, but is that enough to help you sustain yourself and, as I like to call it, the relationship tax? So the relationship tax to me is that I'm gonna have to pay some money, you gonna have to pay some money, so that we can like have these cool experiences together, so that we can do these like different adventures, partake it, like make these different memories. And yeah, some of them are going to be completely dead zone free. Some of them might require a little bit of moolah, you know? So absolutely, like the dollar amount doesn't necessarily bother me. It's kind of the way it's being used, and if it's being used effectively for it to be sustainable for you and us. Same with like me on my side. So like how I'm using my money is sustainable for me and for us, right? And so the dollar amount doesn't necessarily play with that. It's more so the financial mindset that you have that plays into that. So, but I will say, on top of that, a lot of that is just rooted in like, I don't know if I can willingly part with my money in a way where like I have to like help you financially as well. Like I don't, like that's not necessarily something you sign up for in a relationship, at least not top of mind. But there are some people who are amazing people, and it's just like, if I'm like, so like back in that scenario where like he has it all, but instead of like the small dick, he has small pockets. I don't know how that's gonna be long term, if that means that that either one, we can't enjoy each other because you always are like kind of stuck in financially, and two, having to deal with, this is probably not going to be used correctly, but survivor's guilt for like wanting to do the things that I want to do and opting to do them without you, out of like, I would say, consideration of not wanting you to feel burdened about putting your money towards something that you can't necessarily afford. So it's like, I don't know. Like, I feel like for each person, it will be different. But I think for me, like I said, it's not necessarily the dollar amount. Yeah, you can make less than me, but like whatever it is that you are making, like, can it, like, it needs to be sustainable for you, at the very least.
That also like makes me think too of just like, I feel like you kind of touched on it. It's like the way that you carry yourself and the way that you carry your money. Because like I feel like the way I grew up and the way I try to be now with the people that my friends and that I'm close to is that like I try to be honest about the things that I want to do that I can pay for, that aren't gonna like rip a hole in my pocket. But at the same time, like I wanna I wanna give thoughtful gifts, and like I'll pay for them. Like I'm not gonna like cheap out if I can be more creative about it. And like it's also interesting too for, you know, all of us having gone to Fordham. I feel like I've met people that are a lot, not a lot, but met people that are wealthier, and like they'll like ask me to pay them back like the moment after they bought me something, which like that's how some people are, and I do respect it. But it is also like, I if I'm talking to someone, I want it to be a back and forth of I got you. Like I want to be able to pay for someone in the way that I can. So like if someone I'm talking to takes me on a date, like if it's your date, it can be as cheap as you want, but you took me out and I appreciate it and it's cute and it's fun and you're gonna get it later. Like that's what keeps me happy. Like it's not, it really, like it's not about the money. Like money is always gonna have a factor because we all have to have money to survive, but it's what you do with it, you know?
No, yeah. So I love that you mentioned that, because I asked this question on the last panel and I'm going to bring it back here. Who pays for the first date? Is it a woman or is it the guy? And Lou, since you kind of prompted it, I'm going to let you go first.
Thank you, because I mean, it really is a personal opinion, because people that disagree with me, I have to respect it because that's the way you go about it. Kind of to reiterate what I said, if it's our first time going out, I want you to pay for me. I just do. Like, I just do. And like, that's why I kind of try to, in our conversation beforehand, like just in like a scenario where we're talking off of Tinder or something, and you're like saying, oh, like, when do you want to go out? Do you want to like walk around Central Park? And like, if we're like creating a plan and you like prompt something, even if you don't, even if it's us going both ways, if I'm talking about a plan, I'm going to keep it as cheap as possible because I want you to pay. Like, if I want to go somewhere fancy, if I want to go to like a museum that I say that I talk about, like, that's me proposing it and I'm going to pay for myself. And like, and there could also be the flip script of like, if I'm proposing it, why don't I pay for both of the tickets? And that's true. And I don't really have a response to that because I don't want to pay. But, and that's just me being cheap. Like, I'm a cheap ass bitch. But I think it kind of goes a long way. Just that kind of offer at the beginning, it goes a long way. And I've gone on dates with women where I, like, at a picnic or, you know, just kind of somewhere a lot more chill, where I will bring things because I proposed it. And I also, like, that's kind of me taking charge and me kind of being like, I put effort into this, you know, because like I basically want you to like me. So I just kind of feel like, even though I could be doing the same thing with a guy, why can't you do that for me? Like, just do it. Come on. And I'm done. I don't have a better answer.
Oh gosh, I love it. I love it. So you said so many things that just like sparked little things. One was like the difference between how you would answer that question based off of how if you're dating a man or a woman, I think. And you know what? I think it's because subconsciously, another conspiracy theory, guys, stay with me here. And then Mac, I'm going to ask you to answer the question, but guys, like, just follow me through. I think we all subconsciously know women as like a population. If you identify as a woman, we know how bomb we are. We know that we are the creators of life. We know that we literally start and end everything, that we're like, work for it, yo. Like, you, like, come on, like, what do you do? Not to sound like not to sound ungrateful, but like, truthfully, it's more so like, we know we have so much of this untapped power and potential that's been buried for so long. Like, I always say that like, guys have a pick of the litter. When it comes for them trying to find women, there is an abundant amount of women that would meet their standards. Whereas us, especially as you become more accomplished, as you gain more credentials, as you start to raise your standards based off of your achievements in life, the pool of men that's available for you gets smaller and smaller as you age. Like, the pool of men just gets smaller and smaller, whereas men, like vice versa, that's not necessarily the same. In fact, as they get older, it seems like the pool gets wider, which is not fair and mind-blowing to me. But like, I think we subconsciously are so aware of that we're like, listen, you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for a woman pushing you out in the first place. Pay your dues. Because like, I mean, why not, right? So with that being said, you guys kind of already know my stance on it. Not to say that, and I will say, I go on the first date, I would prefer that they pay, and if they do, bonus points for him, but it's not an obligation. Like, I very much will cover myself, especially if I still don't even know if I'm feeling you that much yet. I don't want to feel bad of like taking you out of your money. So
That's a
I'm
good
always,
point.
yeah, no, so I'm
That's
always
a
ready.
good point.
I'm always ready to cover myself. It's absolutely no obligation. I also won't pressure you or belittle you for not doing it. But if you do it, you got brownie points. That's how I feel. So Mac, where are you on this?
Honestly, I'm a nice combo of the both of y'all. Like, I personally speaking, like, I am the type of person that will also pull out their wallet when it's time to pay first date, just because more than anything, I personally speaking feel bad, especially when someone doesn't know me, that they have to like take care of me. Like, you don't know me. Like, I could be the worst person you've ever met and you still have to buy me a whole sandwich. Like, I just feel bad. Even if my sandwich is $2.75, you know, a Subway fare, I just feel bad. So like, I will offer, but at the same time, it is kind of nice when the guy just kind of just does it, you know, like doesn't even glance at you to see if you like take out the wallet. Like, they just do it because they're like, nah, listen, like, I appreciate you spending your time with me. Like, to a certain degree, it's kind of like, oh, like, or even like if you get food to start off the date or anything like that, like, it's kind of in my head like their appreciation of you just showing up. It's like, hey, you actually came, you know, like, shout out to you. Let's go eat some sandwiches. You know, like, I'm also like a cheap bitch. Like, I do not like to spend money if I don't have to. I will on stupid shit. That's a whole other thing. That's a whole other conversation. But who doesn't like spending money on stupid shit that they don't need? You know, like, it pops up all the time on Instagram. Anyway, I digress. Yes, I don't personally mind. It feels nice to be thought of on a first date. Um, but you know, like, if I have to pay my dues, I'll pay my dues. Like, I don't mind.
That does make me think too, just like, if I go out with someone and I want to see you again, to me, it just makes me feel like if you get me now, I'm gonna get you back. Like, it's just, in the best case scenario, we're gonna be getting each other back the rest of our lives. So like, and that's honestly like how I try to approach any date that I have with someone. Like, this could be the one. Like, and if this is the one and I'm starting to learn about you, in my head, like, I'm already planning like little surprises and gifts to get you. So I just feel like a gesture like that, which I feel like Nye kind of touched on too, like, this is 2020. 100 years ago, this would not be a conversation at all. Like, I would not bring money to a date. And like, now I would never not bring my card and my cash just in case. Cause like, in this, and to bring it back to what Nye said too, like, you could end up just being someone that I really like as a friend too. And then like, I kind of want to pay my part because this is just us like getting to know each other. So there's so many different ways to take it. This is a good question.
I love this question. It will never be the same answer for different people. So I always love to ask it. And like, there will never be a conclusion either. It's really just like you said, Lucy, a personal decision. Like, it's whatever you can afford. It's whatever you got on you. It's how you like the person. It's what you guys are doing. Like, I know for a fact, if I was a guy and I had to take a girl out for a date, and maybe my motto was like, I'm gonna pay for it, but we go to a restaurant and the food isn't good, I'm gonna be really mad that I have to pay for that. So it is gonna be a case by case thing, but I always love throwing the question out there. All right, so for our last question, and you guys have been rocking with me for a minute, but you're so fun to talk to. So I'm glad that this is actually a long one. But yes, so for our last question, this is definitely on the heterosexual scale, but as you guys both have experience with men, I think it's still a probable one. What is the most important quality you look for in a man? But I guess I can generalize that and say partner. So what is actually, let me, we're going to scratch that question out. And we are going to say, what is the most important quality you look for in a partner?
It's hard to call one. Like, it's just hard, and I'm probably gonna think of another one as I say it. But and like, my first answer would be just like the vibe, but I feel like it's kind of cliched at this point. But for me, I just think like communication, and I chose it because it's general, but like, because I'm including in that like being authentic with the way you are with me and the way you are with other people. Like, I don't know who said the quote, and I might misquote it, but just like, look at the way someone acts with people that are quote unquote below them, which like, I don't really think people are higher or lower than others, but like, just in one aspect, the way that someone interacts with the waiter at a restaurant, just to throw that one out there. Like, if you're snapping your fingers and like signaling them over and just being very like rude about it, that's such a turnoff. Like, that's not how I interact with people, you know. And to kind of continue with that, like, authenticity, to being honest with yourself, with me, with the way that our relationship, and also like communicating in a way of being funny. Like, for me, it's just, if I don't laugh when I'm with you, what's the point? Like, I want to raise funny children. I'm not like gonna be in a house fake laughing. I saw some tweet that was just, I'm not gonna spend 18 years fake laughing in my own house. And like, that rings true. And that's not just for your kids, that's for your partner too. Like, if I'm not gonna fake laugh, I'm gonna cut ass on whatever you said if it wasn't funny. But that's how we learn from each other, we grow from each other. Just the way that you behave, the way that you present yourself to the world, like that, it can be attractive, it can be cringy, it can be endearing, it can be like shocking. There are just so many ways that you can go about it, but that's just the way that you express yourself. And maybe, I guess, expression is the right word that I'm looking for, but I think that probably is the go-to for me.
I like that. So we're no longer going to say communication. We're going to say expression from now on. Like, whenever it's just like communication, no, it's expression now, because I think that's a much better way to express that kind of all of what you were saying. You see how I worked that in there? Yeah, I like that. I know.
Well used. Well used.
All right, Mac, what about you?
Well, Lou kind of took mine, so I'm gonna rack my brain a little. But my second thing that I look for is just like, I don't know, just like, I guess, motivation for like bettering yourself, you know, like being, and I said this before, so I'm sounding kind of like a broken record, but like just being the best you can be. You know, no one else can motivate you to, you know, like, go work out. Like, no one can motivate you to eat that carrot, or no one can motivate you or tell you what to do for like anything in life. Like, if you don't want to, if you're tired of your job but you're not motivated to leave, I can't be the one to be like, no, you gotta go. Like, you have to tell yourself. So I think for me, because then that means if they're not motivated to help themselves, what's to say they're not motivated to help you? You know, like,
Ooh,
Wow.
I like that. I like that. Yeah.
you know, like, I want to know for a fact that that person will be there for me to the end of the world, basically. End of 2020. Let's be real. This year's been shit. But you know, just like, having that, like knowing that they're as motivated to help themselves as they would be to help you is kind of like my mindset. Because people always say like, oh, like if they bring home the bacon, that means like they can take care of you. Not necessarily. Like, yeah, they bring home money, but who's to say like money doesn't solve problems? Like, I mean, it's like a cliche thing of saying, but you know, like if say like your sex life or your romantic life is like in shambles, money isn't going to fix that, you know. And they're not out here trying to better themselves, they're only out here trying to like get by, you know. So like they're not trying to better themselves for you, they're not trying to help you better yourself. So like that's kind of like a moot relationship. Like what's the point then?
Well said.
Yeah, no, I love that. I thought that was very beautiful. Can we clap on that a little bit? Don't clap too hard though, because the mic will pick it up. But I am on the similar playing field with you, Mac. My biggest thing would probably be effort. Like I need you to be willing to put the work in. And that encompasses like being flexible, being adaptable. That encompasses being a little bit uncomfortable. At times it encompasses communication and wanting to make it work. So I think my biggest quality in a person is like once it's been decided that we can be with each other long term and we want to be on that journey, that big quality that I want you to have is the fight to not give up. Like I want you to, it's gonna get tough and there are gonna be times I'm not gonna want to see your face, right? But that doesn't mean like we have to ghost each other afterwards, right? And vice versa on me. Like I think that's one of the biggest qualities I want to have, to like keep putting in that effort, have that will to go on. What is that? Drive? Would that be drive? Yeah, okay. So I guess effort and drive, we're gonna link the two. But yeah, like that oomph to kind of make the relationship as best as possible. I think that's gonna be my number one.
I just want to add one more because I knew I was going to think of another thing in the meantime. I feel like with everything that we said too, just like kindness. Like I'm not gonna be with a mean bitch. Like I really and I feel like especially to kind of what you said about like not ghosting someone after. Like you don't have to be best friends with everybody that you dated, but like if you break up with someone, true colors are gonna show, you know. And like I mean, after the fact, and you break up with someone, they're nice. I don't want to be like, no, wait, let me come back. But I feel like just knowing someone like someone shows kindness and someone has a good heart, like they're gonna be set in life with or without you. And if they're the right person, I want to be with you on that.
I like that. I think we gave a good list of qualities. So if any, all of our people in the audience who are male or identify as male, write that down. Okay, work on them, cultivate those traits, and you too will find yourself in a happy relationship. So that's going to be it for us, guys. I really, really, really appreciate you guys coming on and having this chat with me. I think we did, I think we covered a lot in some good time. So again, thank you for your time.
Thank you. We could go on for hours. So thank you for being a great facilitator.
Facts. We could go for days at this point in time, but we can't. But I would be more than happy to talk about all this stuff and more again.
Truly.
All right. Yeah, I heard that. Feminine Mystique Part 2 coming to you soon. No, yeah, this has been great. And I actually really like this idea. So I definitely am going to want to continue it. So
yeah.
That's it for today, crew. Thank you guys for listening. Be sure to share this episode with your friends so that they can join the crew. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, and Anchor. Connect with us on Instagram at _colored_in, and be sure to give us your thoughts. I'm excited to hear from you guys soon and can't wait to speak with you. Bye.